So as you may be aware, I finally made it to 50,000 subscribers last week on YouTube. And so in time-honored tradition, I thought I'd do something original and do a Q&A. Oh, and stick around to the end for a competition and the chance to win what I think is a pretty special prize. Okay, let's get on with the questions. First one is from CYHo. He says, what else do you do besides doing filming, researching for the hikes, and recommending eating good food in those areas? Well, it may not sound like a lot what you just said in your question, but actually doing the filming, the research, the writing, and then when you've done all that, you've got the editing and the sound and all the other stuff involved with running the channel and the social media, and it takes up quite a lot of my time. So apart from doing that, I'm also a husband and a father and a few other things as well. Yeah, so that's what I do. Which brings me nicely onto a question from Yiling Cho. She says, Richard, 是全职 YouTuber 吗? The answer is 是，我是全职 YouTuber. I'm a full-time YouTuber. But it was never by plan, it just happened by accident. Now the next one, Nim Yul Think. Your videos are educational and fun to watch. Your channel deserves much more. Will you go international and expand Hikelopedia as best ever food ranger, or Mark Weems? Oh wow. I think getting up to the scale of those guys would be pretty difficult, and plus I don't always do food. I just kind of do food as a sideline because my main interests are hiking, biking and history. I do love food as well, as you can probably tell, but I don't want to become a full-time food channel, even though those videos do better than the other ones. Rosemary Go says, congrats. Which place do you feel more content, Singapore or Taiwan, and which do you feel more challenging to create content? That's a difficult question because I really like both places, although because I've lived in Taiwan for longer, you know, going on 20 years, and Singapore for only 6 years, I feel more at home here. But I also felt very comfortable in Singapore too because it's so easy for foreigners to live, and it's got a connection with Britain, so it makes me feel at home too. As for more challenging to create content, obviously when it comes to hiking and outdoor content, it's more challenging in Singapore. But when it comes to historical content, then it's more challenging in Taiwan because here most of the history that I have to read up is in Chinese, so it's more difficult for me to do the research. Hope that answers your question. Liu Jieke asks, 爬山豆怎么评估要带多少水量? So that means, how do you plan how much water to take when you're hiking? There's many factors you need to consider. One is the weather. Two is whether there's water. Crazy goose. Alright, so one is the weather. Two is the distance you're walking. Three, the season, of course, and also four, whether there is water available. For example, I climbed Taoshan on a day hike recently, and I only took 2 liters of water, even though it was summer, because one, it was a day hike. Two, there was water available at the top, at the hut if I needed it, and the temperature was, although it's summer, it wasn't too hot. So yeah, I took 2 liters and that was enough. I even had to give Andrew some because he didn't take enough, but it was still just enough for that hike. So many factors come into planning how much water you need, but mainly it's down to experience and know-how, which is something you gather over time. Isaac asks, are you visiting Singapore anytime soon? What do you miss about Singapore? I don't have any immediate plans to visit Singapore solely because of the quarantine that's still in effect here in Taiwan. Once the quarantine is over, then I would definitely plan to visit Singapore, but otherwise it's too expensive just for a short trip. And what do I miss about Singapore? A lot of things, the people and the food. The Malay and Indonesian food is not so easy to get here and not so plentiful. So yeah, those are the things I miss. I don't miss the weather. KJS80. Perhaps by keeping one video per week is how you sustain in YouTube. What's your secret for making YouTube videos that reach high viewership and how tedious it is? Well, actually, I don't have a secret for high viewership because I don't have high viewership. But I've noticed that my food videos tend to do better than my other stuff, which is kind of frustrating because I put a lot of hard work into the history and the other videos, and then they don't get good reviews, but then I just go and eat something in a restaurant and get loads of views. So yeah, there's no secret formula. It's just trial and error. EQ asks, 理查有190 cm 吗？身高看起来很高。That means, is Richard 190 centimeters tall? He looks very tall on video. The answer is no, I'm not 190 centimeters. I am 187 centimeters tall. Okay, John Pang asks, hi, can I ask if you have any recommendation on which brand and model hiking shoes that are good, not slippery and comfortable all round? Thank you. Again, this is a difficult question to give a definitive answer. I mean, I've had expensive ones in the past that have fallen apart very quickly, and I've had cheap ones that have lasted for ages, and the opposite. So it's a tough call, but one thing I can say, and I'm not sponsored by Decathlon, I wish they would though, is the boots that I bought from Decathlon in the past have been pretty good quality and they last a long time, and the best part about it is they're not super expensive, so even if they do fall apart, then you don't feel like you've been cheated. There's no perfect answer, I'm afraid. Josh Ho says, I'll just read this one in English because I'm too lazy to read the Chinese. Did you research and shoot some of your videos about Taiwan's history yourself, or did your wife give you some pointers? Actually, I know more about Taiwan's history than my wife, so all the history videos and the things when I talk about Taiwan's history, it's all researched by me in English and Chinese. I read a lot of academic papers and search Chinese websites for the history, and hopefully I get it right. So yeah, that's your answer there. NOV says, would you please consider giving out logistical tips for hikers without private transportation? Actually, Anno, I do that, although I don't always mention it in the videos. I usually put public transport information in the description to most of the hikes, where it's an option. If it's not an option, then I won't put it in there. But if there is a bus or some other way of getting to these trails, then I will always put it in the description below, so just keep an eye out for that. Ben K says, how about a concise recap of your journey from how you met your wife, started your career and settled down in Asia, to eventually taking the plunge to create your own content in social media? What lies ahead for you in the next 5 years, and where do you intend to retire? I hope that is not too greedy. It might not be too greedy, but it's asking a lot, and a lot of these things I've already talked about in past videos. So the best thing I can suggest to you, Ben, is to go back to my 25,000 sub Q&A, and you'll find a lot of the answers to these questions in that video. Plus, if I answer all these questions, this video is going to be about 40 minutes long, so go and check that one out. Last one, Kelvin Tan. Can we get Hugo a sticker patch? Now, I'm getting a bad reputation here, but I actually planned to give Hugo a sticker and a patch a few weeks ago, but guess what? He didn't show up again. So so I never got to do it. And now he's in the States, so I haven't had the chance. I haven't seen him for a couple of months. Maybe next time I see him, he'll get a surprise. Alright, that's it, done with the questions, and as I said earlier, now we're going to have a competition. The winners, and there will be 2, plus a friend, will have the chance to spend a day out hiking, biking or eating with me, and maybe Andrew, and even Hugo if you're really unlucky. It's your choice. I'll choose 2 winners, one from Taiwan and one from overseas. The overseas winner obviously has to be planning to visit Taiwan once the travel restrictions are lifted. Hopefully that won't be too long now. Now the winners will be chosen from all the correct entries that I receive via email at this address here. That is the only way to enter. If you post the answers on the video or on Facebook, then I will delete them and you will not be considered. Email answers only, please. The email address to send your answers to is right here on screen now. Please take note. Alright, so here are the questions. Number 1, what was the first video of mine that featured both Andrew and Hugo? Number 2, what is my favorite Singaporean snack? And number 3, how many of Taiwan's Baiyue or top 100 peaks have I climbed? Send in your answers to the email below, and good luck. Over and out.